Hi. Today I'm going to discuss with you in this segment a brief interview prep for your upcoming interview. My name is Andy McCall. I work with McCall and Lee, Executive Search. So if I may, I'm going to jump right into it. So you're preparing for your interview with your prospective employer. I want to discuss with you a few things. I'm going to breeze over. I'm going to pass up resume preparation at this point and hope that you have a proper resume prepared. I would reach out if it's not, and so we could discuss those as well. So let's jump right into the interview portion. It is important that you bring as many as maybe 10 copies of your resume to the interview. And the reason is you want to make everybody that you meet feel like they're part of the decision. If you need to hand out extra copies, you certainly will have those. It's not important that you bring as many as 10, but to be on the safe side, it certainly is not a bad idea. Let's just first start with the dress real quick. You should be the very best dressed in the room. This is your interview. It's important that you look your absolute best, and it shouldn't be that the interviewer is better dressed or overdressed more than you. So take that for what you will. That means in some cases you're going to want to suit up. In some cases, just a polo like this is probably going to be sufficient. If you're coming straight from work, let them know. That's also a good thing that you came directly from work and made time for this, that you're not just sitting around all day, that type of thing. So let's talk about the dress. A couple days in advance, it's your responsibility at this point to get your suit, your business attire prepared for that meeting. You're going to want to have it dry cleaned and whatnot so you're ready for that day. When it comes to the interview, I'm one of these guys. I would probably arrive up to an hour early and maybe go across the street, drink a Starbucks, go over my notes. The due diligence is your responsibility, not the part of the client. You want to be prepared with questions for this interview, and you do that by researching this company, talking to your HR contact, talking to your recruiter, making sure that you feel like you're in a position to win the interview. So the prep, I would arrive early, be in a position where you could be in the interviewer's office 10 minutes ahead of your interview time. So that means that you're going to allow for parking and possibly weaving through some traffic or weaving through the office environment to get to their office on time. I'm one of these, again, like I said, I would probably arrive significantly early so that I knew I didn't have to worry about traffic, maybe go across the street and be in the lobby about 15 minutes ahead of schedule. So you start the meeting. It's important that you break the ice. Hey, let's make friends. That should be how you'd want to start a meeting. It's really not your responsibility to dictate the flow. That's the responsibility of the interviewer to dictate the flow of the meeting. So if ideally you want to break the ice, make a friend. If you're working with a military person, eye contact is very important with a firm handshake. Firm handshake in business is just good business anyway, but don't be afraid to smile as well. Don't be afraid to smile. A warm handshake and smile, eye contact is all part of a good introduction. So you're moving into the interview stage of this. At this point, you should have very well prepared for the meeting. I mentioned the due diligence is on your responsibility. Dun & Bradstreet, Google, all these different. You want to check their website. Use language that they use in their site if possible. In a lot of cases, a CEO or somebody in a position of power maybe wrote or edited some of that material, and use the words that they use. People talk about that when the scouting report or a new football player comes in. They're like, "Hey, he talks our language. We love that." That's a big plus. Okay, so let's dive right into some of the interview tips. Aim for clarity. Emphasize how you could help the company achieve its goals. Questions are intelligence. I would focus in on the questions. The better the questions you have, the more intelligent you sound. I would not try to stump the interviewer in terms of asking very good questions. So keep that in mind. There's a big difference there between having good questions and then like showstoppers. That's not what you're looking to accomplish. So make sure that you have a list of questions that you want answered and start crossing them off as you go through these. If the answer is a yes or a no, it's probably not good enough. That means an answer should be like a minute and a half or less. and it should tend to focus on less than a yes or a no. Hey, do you have that skill set? Yes, I do. No, that's not correct. It should be, well, yes, and let me give you an example of a time when I used that. Let me give you an example of a time I overcame adversity. So getting back into the questions are intelligence, important to basically take a needs assessment. So tell me what you're struggling with. Tell me about what you're looking for. There shouldn't be a big gap in the interview where they're struggling. Should be that get to know you. Hey, tell me about yourself. You should have prepared a few different things. These are key these are things that I would encourage you to focus on. Words that I like to use are, this is an area of passion of mine. I'd like to volunteer my time in that area. I always say things in an interview I always tell people that say things in an interview that you could take back. You never want to say things that you can't take back. Meaning, you want to focus on something that you said, and it's hard now. You can't push an undo button and all of a sudden take back what you said. It's important that you position something in a way that you can later come back and say, well, how do you guys do that, and what kind of success have you had with that? Basically, I'm saying, hey, this is the area that I've had success. Tell me about your situation. Are you guys using the same software? Are you using the same system, techniques, philosophy? You should know what your management philosophy is, your attitude towards the way you treat patients, the way you handle coding, these different things. It's really important that if you don't know your philosophy, find it and understand it, because that's important in life that you understand that. Behavioral interviewing, I would research my site and maybe some others and find out what kind of behavioral questions and where they could stump you. I've heard some doozies in my day. These are sometimes canned interview questions. It's important that you have answers to them. And if you don't understand the question, again, make sure that you're drawing that out of them. Getting that needs assessment. Tell me about what you mean by that, so you understand the question properly, so you sound more intelligent that way. Interview do's, don'ts, I already mentioned, dress conservatively, all these things. Have a list of questions, let them dictate the flow. If the answer is not yes or no, it's probably not good enough. The interview don'ts, no chewing gum, you can't talk too much, you cannot, I don't want you to wear anything too flashy, cross arms, negative body language, anything. I would not talk negatively about your former employer. I would keep it very friendly and hey, listen, it should be about you advancing in your career. You're looking for a new challenge, period. That's the only thing I want to focus on for you right now, is that this is a career advancement. Cell phone, leave it in the car. Don't even risk it. I don't care if you're on call and you're a doctor, just leave it in the car, don't even risk it. It's just an unprofessional, it's something you don't want to have to deal with. When it comes to questions about, again, I would probably check a site or research this more. I don't have enough time to maybe cover it thoroughly in this segment, but I would find out why the position is available. I would find out, I would look for a way that you could solve a problem within this organization. Focus on the profit, not on much anything else. A lot of people are like, oh, I could make your website look a lot cooler. Yes, that's great, but tell me how that converts customers into me. Talk about the money. Talk about the money. And if it's, I don't care if it's something that's, talk about the savings. Talk about the savings of money and how this converts the flow and the quality. Okay. When it comes to the topic of money, talking about salary before you get a job offer, they say, is like a waiter asking for his tip before the meal is over. So it's very important that you focus on, when it comes to the topic of money, I'm looking for competitive. I'm looking for competitive compensation. That says, hey, I'm high quality, I'm expensive because I know what I'm doing, and I'm expecting to be at the top of your range. That type of conversation. And even if you're not at the top of the range, you're at the top of what the best they could do. They should have a range. They may be skittish about talking about it. That's fine. That means that maybe they're interested. It's just like dating. They don't want to run you off. That's fine. That's typically, you need to have a job offer before you can negotiate one. Just remember that. Just remember that when they should be, you probably wouldn't be even talking if you weren't, if your recruiter or your HR, somebody didn't feel like there was something worth discussing. When it comes to closing, there's nothing that can be more important in some cases, especially if you're in sales. If you can't close them on this potential opportunity that could positively affect your life, I would be a little bit skittish about hiring you myself. Closing is a critical and important section, and I would make sure that you're closing in this process. So closing is you've taken a full needs assessment, you've had the full-on interview, now you feel like you really like the position that they're presenting, you're at that position in time where you feel like you've got more that you'd like to take it to the next level. Ask them for the job right there on the spot. This is a chance for you to overcome any objections on the spot by asking them, are there any responsibilities of the position that you're concerned I'll be able to handle? No? Great. I'd like to continue this. Based on what I've seen so far, this looks like a place that I could fit. Based on the responsibilities of the position and based on my skill set, I feel like I'm a match. Do you feel like I'm a match? Great. Is there... in some cases, there's almost never a situation where it's not decision by committee. They're going to have to talk with other people. That's why it's important to make everyone you meet feel like they're part of the decision. So, because everyone's interviewing you. This is important. I want to focus on that. So, close on the meeting. Meaning, I'd like this position. I'd like to continue. I'd like to get an offer. Make sure in this process that you're gonna buddy up with some folks. And it's important that you get pretty chummy, but unless it's a 2 or 3 day meeting and you're ready to drop F or S bombs or something, keep that to yourself. I've seen a few deals that have died that could have been affected both parties in a positive way, where they've described a story or something where there was a curse word or something like that. We're all adults in this world, and I think we're all mature enough to handle that, but I would encourage you, if it's questionable, to leave it out. Again, focus on that. When you don't say things that you can't take back. And again, an example of that is, this is a skill set that I have. Tell me how you guys have found it to be successful. I'm a quick learner. I understand that I could learn these other things, and that's a good way for you to ace that interview. So it's probably enough for now. Again, this is Andy McCall with McCall and Lee. My website, mlee.com, and my email, am@mlee.com. Thank you.